What are the top 5 retro gaming handheld systems under $200 in 2023? Kick off your shoes and relax your socks while we figure it out. Coming in at number 5 is the DataFrog SF2000. The DataFrog SF2000 is the weakest console on this list and does struggle to play SNES games, but for the price of it, at just over $20, it's an absolute no-brainer. If you're someone that's just getting into the retro gaming handheld scene and you want to see if it's for you, if you want to get an awesome gift for somebody to give them those nostalgia vibes, or even if you just want something easy to throw in your pocket and let your kids have a play around with, the DataFrog SF2000 is absolutely brilliant. It can handle up to most 16-bit generation consoles, including the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive. Now, it does enable you to play SNES games, but this is where you see the biggest limitations: SNES gaming and Game Boy Advance. But for $20 to get access to 8-bit, 16-bit up to Mega Drive, and arcade gaming as well, the SF2000 is an absolutely brilliant option. Coming at the number 4 spot is the RG405M, and one of the priciest consoles on this list. Now, the RG405M by Anbernic is an absolutely superb console, and one of my favourite styles as well, in the fact that it's a metallic console. If you've never used an Anbernic metallic console, they are definitely something to behold, and elevate themselves higher than all other plastic options. And the RG405M is nearly perfect, but it does have some issues, which means that it doesn't hit that top spot on this list. The number one and biggest issue for me is that it doesn't support game streaming across the board. If you're playing Xbox Game Pass, you're going to have issues where the buttons for L2 and R2 aren't registered on game streaming services because they are not analog. And unfortunately for me, this holds the RG405M back a bit. As well as that, for anybody with sharp eyesight, there's a little bit of filtering going on the Android build that they have, which means that sometimes there can be a little bit of ghosting or shadowy effects on the edges of some lettering. Now, a lot of people can't notice this, but for me, it's something I notice. And I do find it looks a little bit blurrier compared to a Retroid Pocket 3 Plus version of Android. Those issues aside though, and the emulation on the RG405M is absolutely brilliant, and even gives you access to a significant amount of GameCube games and even some PlayStation 2 experiences as well. Lower than that, everything up to the Dreamcast and N64 is absolutely buttery smooth. And the build quality and feel of the RG405M is potentially the best at this price point. Next up, we have another Anbernic console filling the number 3 spot, and that is the RG353VS. Now, unlike the SF2000 and the 405M, the 353VS is a vertical style console, so it looks much more like a Game Boy. And there's something about those vertical consoles that just screams so much nostalgia and really brings back those memories for retro gaming. The 353VS is around about the $100 mark, but with that you're getting access up to Dreamcast and N64 gaming as well, which for a vertical style console is absolutely awesome. And to support those game experiences as well, the 353VS has dual analog sticks included. And a huge benefit to Anbernic consoles like the 353VS and the 405M actually is that they come preloaded with loads of games. And with the 353VS supporting a Linux build as well, it makes it one of the easiest consoles for somebody to just pick up and start playing straight away, not having to have any knowledge of how emulators work, how ROMs work, how to get games onto the system. You can just switch it on, select your game and start playing, which is why the RG353VS for me is potentially the best budget retro handheld for somebody coming new into the scene. If you like the vertical Game Boy style format, but want to save a little bit of money and aren't necessarily bothered about N64 Dreamcast gaming, then you can check out the Miyoo Mini Plus. The Miyoo Mini Plus is a lot like the 353VS and the 35XX actually, but it comes in smaller and it doesn't have analog sticks as well, but it doesn't miss those analog sticks because it supports up to PlayStation 1 generation. And it supports those games really well as well. The thing that's great about the Miyoo Mini Plus is that the consoles that it focuses on, it plays them really well. So you never end up finding that you're in an experience and it's stuttery or doesn't live up to the memories that you have as a retro gamer. And once again, the Miyoo Mini Plus, like the Anbernic devices, comes preloaded with loads of games as well. It makes for an absolutely fantastic choice around about the $70 mark. That's if you can get them though, because it can be tricky to find. And filling up the number 1 spot is my favorite retro gaming handheld console of the past year. And it's the retro gaming handheld I always go to time and time again and play the most by far. And that is the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. And included in that, we can also say the Retroid Pocket Flip as well. The Retroid Pocket 3 Plus and the Retroid Pocket Flip do pretty much everything that the 405M does, albeit in a plastic shell. But what it does better than the 405M, especially in my opinion, is PlayStation portable gaming, as it has the widescreen. It has a better Android experience with no filter options causing any fuzziness, and it also lets you play game streaming, which opens up this device device to accessing a brand new world of video games. Yes, we might be looking at these consoles because we're retro gamers and we want that retro gaming experience, but do you really want to turn down the ability to play current generation Xbox games in the palm of your hand? And the Retro Pocket 3 Plus and the Retro Pocket Flip both let you do that. And honestly, one of the best game streaming options you've got, and definitely the best game streaming option you've got below $200. If you want to check out these devices in more detail, then there's reviews for every single one of these consoles on this channel. And links to all the consoles will be in the description below. But if you really understand why I love the Retro Pocket 3 Plus so much, check out this episode right here.